She opens a blank notepad, the one where she tracks her to-do list and her monthly payables, and she sits there, staring at it, feeling something she cannot name. Not sadness exactly, not loneliness, something closer to absence, like there's a conversation happening somewhere in her mind and she cannot hear it. She writes the date at the top of the page, then stops, the pen hovers, nothing comes. She has thoughts. She always has thoughts. But somewhere between her mind and her mouth, they vanish. She is an only child. She learned early to keep her thoughts quiet. Not because anyone told her to, because there was no one to tell them to. No sibling to argue with, no one to witness her half-formed ideas and say, "That's stupid," or "keep going." Just her parents, and the sense that speaking up meant taking up space that maybe wasn't hers. Dinner was quiet. 3 people at the table, her voice the only young one. Every sentence she spoke landed in the silence like a stone in water. It rippled, it drew attention, it mattered too much. So she learned to edit herself before the words left her mouth, to decide, alone, which thoughts were worth voicing. She would think of something to say, test it in her head. Is it interesting enough? Is it worth interrupting the quiet? Will it make them look at her in that way, like she should have known better? Most of her thoughts never made it out. She is an adult now. The notepad is hers. The thoughts are hers, but the reflex is still there. The pause before speaking, the editing, the quiet collapse of an idea before it becomes a sentence. She wonders sometimes if other people do this, if everyone has a committee in their head deciding which thoughts deserve air, or if this is what happens when you grow up as the only witness to yourself. We talk about only children like they are spoiled, like they got all the attention, all the resources, all the room. We do not talk about what happens when all the attention means all the judgment, when there is no one else to dilute the focus, when every mistake, every mood, every quiet moment lands on one person. Some only children learn to fill the silence with performance. They became the loud ones, the ones who talk first, who never let a room go still. Others learn to stay very, very still. Both are forms of survival. Neither feels like freedom. We carry our childhood silences into adulthood. The voice we never fully trusted. The thoughts we learned to keep inside because there was no safe place to test them. No sibling to shrug and say, "Yeah, I don't know either." We edit ourselves, we pause, we decide which version of our voice is acceptable before we let anyone hear it. There is something specific about learning to self-edit in childhood. Not because someone punished you for speaking, but because there was no one to practice on. No low-stakes conversation where you could say something dumb and have it forgotten by dinner. Every sentence mattered. Every opinion was on the record. She remembers trying to tell a joke once at the table. She had heard it at school, thought it was funny. Her parents looked at her. Her father smiled politely. Her mother said nothing. The silence after felt like failure. She did not try again. It is hard to explain this to people who had siblings. They had someone to be wrong with. Someone who also said the dumb thing, who also misread the room. The attention was split. The stakes were lower. For her, every thought she voiced was the only thought. It could not hide behind anyone else's. It could not be diluted by chaos or forgotten in the noise. So she learned to hold her thoughts until they were perfect, or close enough, or at least safe. But thoughts are not meant to be perfect before they are spoken. They are meant to be messy. They are meant to change shape in the air, to be tested and adjusted and sometimes abandoned halfway through. She never learned that. She learned the opposite, that silence was safer than risk. She does not know if she is repressing her voice or if she just never learned to trust it in the first place. There is a difference. Repression means something was taken from you. It means you had a voice and someone taught you to shrink it. But what if you never had the chance to build it? What if the voice in your head is still waiting for permission to be wrong out loud? She thinks about this sometimes, whether she is holding herself back or whether there is nothing to hold back, whether the silence is a cage or just the shape she learned to take. She watches people in meetings, the ones who speak up without hesitation, the ones who say, "I'm not sure, but maybe," and keep going. She wonders how they do that, how they trust that their half-formed thought is worth the room's attention. She cannot do that. She has tried. The words get stuck, the editing kicks in, the sentence dies before it reaches her mouth. And the worst part is that no one notices, because she learned to be so good at this, at appearing thoughtful, at nodding along, at keeping her silence smooth and professional and utterly invisible. People think she is careful, considered. They do not know that she is just afraid of being wrong in a room that will remember. What do you do with a voice that was never allowed to be wrong out loud? She does not have an answer. She is still sitting with the notepad, still staring at the blank space where her thoughts should go. She knows the thoughts are there, she can feel them, but they are trapped behind the reflex, the pause, the invisible editor that has been running since childhood. Maybe the question is not how to silence the editor. Maybe it is how to speak anyway, to let the unfinished thought exist in the air, to say the thing that might be wrong and see if the world ends. It probably will not, but she does not know that yet. When you were a child, was there anyone you could say the wrong thing to without consequence? And do you still edit your thoughts before you speak them, even now, even when no one is judging? The Flawed Seeker, a new reflection every day. We are all just trying to make sense of the noise inside our heads. Join us at theflawedseeker.com.